another video. This time it's on these two Buicks. This one here, this black one, is a 1954 Buick Special. The other one is a 1953 Buick Special. And they are both very different cars, even though they're only 1 year apart. So, let's take a look, shall we? So the first thing I'm going to do before I bring you over here is I'm going to pop the hood on this one. On this 54, which is actually pretty easy to do. You just pull the thing, and then there is a little trick. If I can find the thingy. There's the thingy. Oh, there it is. So with this one, you have to push down the hood slightly, and then pull the thing. I thought I had it. There we go. And then just there we go. All right, let's take a look under the hood. This is the first thing I like to do in my videos. Sorry, that took a minute because these hoods, you have to be very, very careful not to bend them because of how they're structured, and they don't have a center support in them. So it's very, very easy to actually bend these hoods. Or bend even those. The hinges. There we go. But here we have the first introduction of a V8 in Buicks. Now this is the baby engine. This is the 267. I can't remember for sure. Exact cubic inches, but regardless, it's one of the two. Cubic inch engine, and honestly, it looks really, really good under here. You know, there's some mouse nests and whatever else, and there's some stuff to clean out, but beyond that, and what's really interesting, it's 12 volt. Back in 54, which was not very common actually. I know that Buick was the, back then was the brand that did all of the specialty stuff like that, like experimental. So, yeah. So it's kind of unusual to see that. I mean, Cadillac was too, of course, but, you know, Buick was kind of that brand that they used it for. Yeah, so, as you can see, this really cool overhead valve V8. It's got, you know, the original manifolds on it by the looks of it. And this thing is it's had belts and whatever else, although this is a really old belt. You can tell just by the, looking at it, the texture and whatnot. Not frayed at all. I mean, there's a little bit of fray, like a little bit of a crack there in it, but beyond that. And like the interesting part is I can't even find the oil dipstick, because that is the tranny fluid dipstick. So yeah, it's very, very cool under here. And now let me just do a quick little thing here. Sorry, I'm adjusting the stand because I don't want to take you off the stand, because every time I do, it seems like I screwed up. And I have to restart the video, and I don't want to do that for third time now, I think. This is my first attempt today, but I did it a couple of days ago and I screwed up doing that. And then I had a wardrobe malfunction the other day. So when I was doing the videos, when I did the video on that, which is about a week ago. So goes to show you how long ago. I haven't been able to do much videos as of late, but now I get a chance to. But yeah, and unfortunately, this Buick does have quite a bit of rust. Now it's not that horrible. Like, I mean, around here, this is like pretty much the worst of the rust in the car. But as you can see, the chrome is all nice, although it is missing the well, it broke off by the looks of it, the extension piece there to go in between, but that's not a big deal, you know. A little better on this side for rust, but again, still not great. If we close the hood, actually, come on. Just got to be very, very gentle. There we go. And see, you got a couple of dents, but then I'm pretty sure that's a bullet hole. Pretty big bullet, if it is. And it's got this really nice look, because the original color, as you can tell, was burgundy. But then somebody painted over this with this black. And as it's peeling here, it just looks really, really good underneath. And honestly, I would just get it so that it stops peeling and just clear coat this car. Like, fix the rust, get it so that it kind of looks like this dry brush sort of look here. You know, it's got a couple of dents in the roof as well, but this thing, very nice car. Now, the one thing with old Buicks, because Buicks used to have portholes in them, and you can tell how high up a Buick was due to how many portholes were in it. This was the base model, so it only had 3, which is the Buick Special. Then you had the LeSabre, which would have had 4, as well as, oh, what was the other ones? The Century, I want to say. I can't remember if they had those in the 50s or not, but regardless, you know, just the higher up ones would have 4 portholes instead of 3. But as you can see, the nice Buick hubcaps, and those, I want to say those might be original tires. I'd have to date them to be sure, but still, maybe not though. They might just be like 70s, 80s tires, but they look like a bias ply. I could be wrong on that though. And as you can see, there's more rust here, unfortunately, and some rust down there. But overall, it's actually in pretty good shape. It does have a dent here, and it's missing the taillight lens, which is really unfortunate. You know, you got some rust down there. But what's really cool about this is, you know, because to open the trunk, there wasn't a release inside, so you had the key, and the key hole, there we go, is hidden right there, which is so cool. How they used to design stuff back in the day, just hiding stuff and whatever else, and it was just a really, really cool thing, kind of like the Monaco with the gas filler in behind where the license plate would be. Just flips down. It's very, very cool. And here you can see, unfortunately, more rust and just in bad areas, but easily fixable. I mean, to be honest, I could probably fix that myself, but I'm not gonna delve too deeply into this one. I would like to get it running though. Yeah, and then we're back down this side again, and there's not that much more rust. I mean, there's a little bit of rust in that fender too, but it's from 1954. What do you expect? Built in probably late 53. Oh, there we go. So if you take a look, you know, still got really nice door panels in it. You have the dash with, there's your clock, awesome stereo in it. It is an automatic, and we've got the headlight trim rings, which is cool. See, that's just a solid door. Like, obviously it's creaking, but like just, it's just amazing. You know, how they used to build cars back then. You know, this is from 1954. My doors do not sound as good as this, closing them. Like, that's just so smooth. This one's a little tighter. I'm assuming it just needs some WD-40 sprayed up front. But if we take a look, as well, back inside here, there's some really cool stuff under here. Now, unfortunately, there is a water leak, which I haven't been able to track down just yet where that is. So there is water on the floor, and it is starting to rust the floorboards. They're not through yet at all, but will need some attention. And there's, you know, just gauges done right. It's very, very cool. You know, and like, and everything's labeled. Like, there's your wiper. There's your lights. And oh, hang on. I think, okay, so this was actually a, I think somebody converted this. I think, I could be wrong, unless that's other vents, lower vents here. Pretty sure that is for the hood release initially. So somebody maybe modified it, or maybe not, but the 53 has the same thing, so regardless, doesn't matter. And then, yeah, just check out the steering wheel. And I mean, okay, yes, it is cracked, but it's honestly in better shape than the Monaco wheel. And the Monaco is from 1978. This is from 1954. And as you can see, is your high beam switch down there. Very, very cool. When they were still on the floor, but, you know, they stopped doing that back in, well, depending on the company. You know, and you've got just all these really, really cool levers and stuff for like your defroster, your heat, your fans. You've got an auxiliary fan or auxiliary heater. Just very, 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 very cool. And I would so drive this in a heartbeat. Absolutely. You know, and I want to say that might be original fabric. It just, every time you touch it, it starts to deteriorate a little bit, so you do have to be careful with it. So again, just solid. You know, it's creaking up there, but that's fine. The rear doors seem to close better than the front doors. I mean, you know, there is still, again, some rust on the floors, but not too bad. Very, very cool. And okay, so now we can move over to the 53. Which is 53. I love the look of this thing. I really, really do. More than that 54. It just, the body, I just like these lines better than say like, you look at that roof line and you see potentially like a Tri-5 Chevy 55, 56, 57, somewhere in there. With this, you see that earlier 50s roof, right? It just better look to me overall. And plus, you've got the antenna right there. Like, how cool is that? Unfortunately, I cannot open the hood on this one. But this actually has the straight 8 in it, or inline 8, as you, if you want to call it that. Either or. You know, which was the last year for the inline 8s for the Buicks. And actually, if we look around, this thing has a better body on it than the 54 does. Now, the only unfortunate part, you'll see that in a minute, is the interior. And it is on GM truck rims, just to, wheels and tires, just to drive it around, or not driving around, but moving around. And see, there's just a little bit of rust there. Really not that bad. Again, it's missing the lens, but you do have it on that side, so at the very least you can get it like 3D printed, because you're probably not going to find it. You know, you got the Buick 8 Custom. And I mean, maybe this was a Buick Custom, but I want to say this was a Special, but I could be wrong on that. It's a 3 porthole, just like the 54, so it's going to be bottom of the barrel. But this one does have some options in it compared to this one. So, yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, you can tell the mice got to this one very badly. Who knows, back then it may have been rats. We don't have rats in Alberta. We actually, oddly enough, around the borders of Alberta, we do have patrols for rats. So, we only have like domesticated rats. That's it. We don't have wild rats, which is so cool. You know, and as you can see, it's just too bad that it just ruined. And those are the original wheels and tires off of it. Still has the hubcaps, which are really, really cool. So again, solid. You know, open this door. Front doors are a little heavier than rear doors. Takes a little more to open and close them. And see now, and I'll take you guys a second if you want to try and drop it in the comments below to see how would you open that door, just from the inside. Okay, can you figure it out? Well, you can tell. Probably not this one, because that rolls down the window, which still rolls down. It's not this one, because that opens up the vent window here, which the glass is broken, but you get the idea there. It's actually this. So how cool is that? Now that should, I believe it would have snapped back down when he let go of it back then, but I could be wrong. You know, it does have some more rust along this stuff. But yeah, and obviously I'm not getting in this because it's very, very bad. And again, there is some water in here, but that's due to, hey look, no vent window. So this thing did, if you read the steering wheel, have power steering back in 1954, which is actually kind of impressive. You know, and you have your brake release and similar to the other car, but this one does have different gauges in different spots. Okay, B, go away. Sorry. Bees are good, however, I don't like them flying near me. There's probably a nest in here. Yeah, see, a little bee just flew into the car. There might be a nest in here, to be honest. It wouldn't shock me. Yeah, but you can see your gauges. You know, you can see the stereo up there, which is different than what's in the other one. Everything is marked, just like the other car. Very, very cool, and the clock's different. It's much bigger. Yeah, just very, very cool. Now, and I would love to play with these a little further, but it's probably not going to happen. I do have a guy that wants to come look at the 54 this weekend. Who knows? Maybe he'll pick up the 53 as well. I'll just open it from this side to get you a closer look at that clock. Like, how cool is that? Just very, very unique looking stuff. And I just don't, you know, just don't build them as good as they used to anymore. You know? Or I should say it's like solid and whatever else, because these things, they would last forever. Yeah, you had to tinker with them all the time, but it's a car that you could just get in and go for the most part, and if it gave you little issues, well, it gave you little issues. And unfortunately, it's too bad the hood emblem is broken, because that would be cool too to have properly on there with this patinaed body. And you know, like it's got a little bit rusty here and there that you'd have to repair. Just, yeah, and see, in the, I believe the mirror would have been here, not on the door. And because, well, passenger mirrors were an option for a very long time, until the 70s, for the most part. That, notice that there is no indication of a mirror ever being here. Yeah, it's because it was an option. Which is just an interesting thing to think about. You know, how cars only had the rear view mirror and one side mirror. Now in Japan, they did it for a lot longer. You could do that into the 80s, but then they also, you could have like 3 mirrors on your car, which was actually kind of a cool thing. You know, and you basically, it eliminated all your blind spots. So here, let's put this back here. Go back a little bit, turn it up, turn it up. And so yeah, so that's these two Buicks. Very, very cool cars, very unique. You don't see these anymore. These really don't exist. I don't know. You'll sometimes you'll find a Pontiac. Sometimes you might even find an Oldsmobile, although they are pretty rare too. You'll find Chevys just about everywhere. Sometimes you'll find a Cadillac too, but you will hardly ever see the Buicks. And it's sad. And like in these, even though they were built better than the Chevys, they were built better than the Pontiacs, they were built better than the Oldsmobiles, these are the ones that are forgotten and have not quite the least value, because that'd be the Pontiacs, but you know, they are less than the base model Chevys, which I don't understand that. And I think these have a better look than the Chevy 210, Bel Air, 150, whatever you want to call them. You know, and these were higher standard of car. These were also, I mean, well, we looked into there, we saw a 12-volt generator on there, which is super, super cool. That this was 12 volts in 1954. Chevrolet didn't go to 12 volts until I think 58 or 59. Which is just like amazing to think about. And 6-volt was very unreliable at the time. Like it did work, but you really didn't have that much power to crank anything or anything like that on that, or even run the electrics. They would die quite often, so that's why they switched over to the 12 volt, and it made things so much better. Hell, cars today are still run off of 12 volt batteries. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this this little peek at these beautiful old cars. And I might see, if this guy doesn't buy this 54 this weekend, I might see about taking the key tumbler out for the ignition, maybe getting a key cut for it, and see if it'll turn over. Because that would be really, really cool. Because I wouldn't be surprised if this would run. Now, in the glove box, there is a receipt. I'm not going to show you it because it's only 20 years old. But there is a receipt for oil from RPM Automotive in Olds from 20 years ago, from 2000. So, you know that this thing was at least probably on the road then. There is no other documentation. There's not much else I know about it. Unfortunately, I don't have keys for either of these two cars. This 54 was actually belonged to the owners of the Burger Baron here in town, but Greg gave him a deal, 20 bucks a month for storage. You know, they could park it here, not a big deal. Well, they never paid him for 5 years. So he kept the car's payment, and that's fine. And you can actually do that in Canada, oddly enough. There's laws about that. In the States, where you guys have titles, it's a little more difficult to do, but effectively you can do that here because, again, we do not have titles on our cars unless if it's from an American car. So we just sell everything on a bill of sale only. Depending on province, like British Columbia, you do need the registration from the previous owner to register it. So it's a little different over there, but that's okay. Here in Alberta, it's very lax on stuff. We don't have emissions testing. We don't have safeties are not mandated here in Alberta, although most insurance companies will ask you for a safety. If it's an out-of-province car, you actually cannot register it until it's been inspected in Alberta. So, and it's an out-of-province inspection, which I had to do on my Mustang over there, and it's a very, very involved process. It's not just your typical brakes, shocks, suspension, stuff like that. They want everything basically OEM, which is ridiculous for an out-of-province, I think. But whatever, you know. So I did that on my car. It cost me a lot of money, but it was worth it. You know, I know the car's solid. I know it'll go whenever I want it to. It does give me hiccups here and there, but that's an old car for you. So she does need a bit of work right now. The steering rack is very worn, although it turns just fine, but there is a clunk from the front end, which you might recall that I tried to diagnose that a while ago. And I took it to the mechanic, and he was able to figure out that it's actually the steering rack. So it just needs a rebuild or replace. A rebuild kit from Rock Auto is like 32 bucks, so might just do that. I might get myself into too much trouble doing that though, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with that. I could probably figure it out though. However, we'll see. I do have a friend of mine, his name is Jeff. He just rebuilt the rack in his Mustang. So it'll be very similar, although a different kit due to his being a later model. But box bodies were generally the same for that sort of stuff. And just fittings and stuff were different, and some of the little parts were different, but for the most part, they didn't really change all that much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, I really love these cars, and I'd love to be able to do something more with them, but my attention's being focused on that Monaco over there, and a little sneak peek here. I'll just turn the camera, and that GMC. So yeah, I'll be working on that a bit. It does run. It runs beautifully. It's got a 305 in it. Just, as you can see, it needs a windshield. Hood's bent. Probably needs doors, but I do have doors here. So, you know, it'll be fun. Let's put it over there. There we go. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, well, let me know. I love to see your guys' comments and reactions to the stuff I do. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to get a video out for the past week. I apologize for that. I've been very, very busy, and as well as getting other stuff, like there was a pig roast here over the weekend. I wasn't able to get here from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I was here for the pig roast, but I wasn't going to do any videos due to partying, whatever else going on. So it was a great time though. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, which that was a, you know, really fun time last weekend. And I can't wait for next year, because they do it every August 1st, because that's actually the anniversary of their wedding. So it's cool. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you're working on something, you know, good luck with it. And as always, hope you're staying safe during COVID-19. And I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye! Pikachu! Peace!